So we've looked at the basics of Python: variables, data types, and operators. However, our programs are still very simple and very linear. That is to say, they are executed one line after another. Sometimes, you only want code to be executed if a particular condition is met. For example, imagine you're being served at a buffet. There are many dishes on offer, but you may not want a portion of each. So a server may ask you if you want a particular dish, and only serve you from this dish if you answer positively. In programming, we use control flow statements to execute code conditionally. These include conditional statements and loops. Conditional statements will only execute a block of code if a particular condition is true. The if statement is the simplest of all of the conditional statements. Let's see it in action. Start by opening idle and creating a new script. I've saved mine as control flow, ready to execute. I'll now add the following code. If I save this and execute, we can examine the output. As we can see from our code, nothing has been output. That's because in our script, we defined a variable x and set the value to 10. Then in our conditional statement, we said if x is greater than 10. You'll remember from our last lesson that this is a comparison operator. So the result of this comparison will be a Boolean. X is greater than 10 is false because x is 10 and 10 is not greater than 10. So this condition will not evaluate to true, and as such, this line of code will not execute, which is why when we ran the script, nothing was outputted. If we change this value to 5, for example, and say if x is greater than 5, execute this block of code, we see now that the code has been outputted. It's not always clear that a block of code has not executed because a condition was not met. When you want to be explicit, it's useful to use an if-else statement. An if-else statement will execute one block of code if a particular condition is met, and another if that same condition is not met. This time, we're using an if-else statement to say if x is greater than 15, print x is greater than 15. But if it's not, instead of not printing anything, it will execute this other line of code, which says x is less than 15. And I forgot to close the bracket here, so I will correct that now and save my changes. So we can see from the first execution, if x is greater than 5, print x is greater than 5. That condition is still true, so x is greater than 5 was outputted. Our second clause, our second if statement says if x is greater than 15, print x is greater than 15. But it hasn't printed this because x is still equal to 10 and 10 is not greater than 15. So this comparison will result in a false Boolean. For that reason, it comes down to the else statement, because it will execute this statement anytime this condition has not been met. And in this case, the statement says print x is less than 15, and that is what we see here. Sometimes it's not as simple as comparing one condition to another, and you want to evaluate multiple conditions. For this, we can use an if, else statement. Let's see how that works. So coming back to my script, I'll write the following code. So now we're checking two conditions. In our first condition, we check if x is greater than 15, and this is false. So this block of code will not be executed because x is still equal to 10. 10 greater than 15 will return a false, and this conditional statement will not be true. So we come to our next statement, which is an else if statement. That's pronounced else if. And we say x is equal to 10. So you recall this is another comparison operator, which checks if the two values on either side are the same. X is defined as 10 and we're comparing it to 10, so this will equate to true, meaning this line of code will be, this block of code rather, will be executed, and we'll have x equals 10 outputted on screen, as we do there. If both of these conditions were to fail, then our script would fall back to this final else statement and execute this line of code.